Hello and welcome to your pick a card reading. This pick a card reading is going to be what you need to hear and not what you want to hear. So, I really hope that you get what you need out of these readings because we're basically just going to be pulling from three different decks as well. So, with the first deck, we have the Manga Tarot with Apocalypsis. Apocalypsis is all about removing the veil of deception and also just kind of maybe peeking underneath the veil. If you feel like you've been a little sort of close to the thin layers of the veil personally, I suggest that this is probably for you. The next one we have is the Mystic, and the Mystic is very self explanatory. So, this could be kind of a three-part reading for some of you if you want to see it as that, but the Mystic is all about that trust in your own intuition, trust in your own guidance, that you truly not only just give yourself, but like you are the seeker, the dreamer. You work in a very different headspace than most people. And this tarot deck that we will be doing a reading for will be the Star Tarot. Now, next one up we have is the Nectar. The Nectar is a very interesting card because it kind of like associates to the sweetness of life and like how maybe we need to kind of tap back into that sort of sweetness of life, which is its keywords are the medicine, the elixir, the garden. So this tarot deck that it's associated with is called the Gilded Tarot. So I will let you guys sit with these cards and choose wisely and intuitively. Okay, pile one, you have Apocalypsis. Now, I will kind of be reading the book from that this deck or this card is from, excuse me. This is very much about lifting the veil that's kind of in front of you. So I feel like a lot of you, if you want to kind of make sure that this reading is mostly for you, um, if you've been like learning a lot of different things that you were probably quote unquote taught, or other people probably like taught you, and it's just not either fitting right, or there's more that you are discovering intuitively rather than with facts or evidence or proof, that it's almost like kind of following someone's advice and you kind of intuitively know, I don't think that advice is really for me. Maybe it was decent advice, it wasn't them trying to be any bit of bad, but I feel like when it comes to this card specifically, this is a really big, like, removing the veil of deception, because sometimes when we are tapping into the metaphysical sort of energies within ourselves, we have a lot that we may do more intuitively that we can't really explain to others. So I will continue to read this because I feel like a lot of the wording that the beautiful Kim Krans provides is really like perfectly worded in some ways. So we have Apocalypsis, removing the veil of deception. I'll hold it up a little bit so you can see it better. Apocalypsis indicates a particular painful time, one that unfolds when two disparate, like separate, I guess, separate dynamics occur simultaneously, pulling the psyche into seemingly opposite directions. The first is a lifting of the veil. This means truth that has been kept in the dark or revealed, seen, and unearthed. No matter how revealing it is to witness them come into the light, an element of despair and grief follows. The second dynamic is the regeneration that comes from the wreckage of the revealed truth. The old narrative breaks and a new story forms. Apocalypsis energy is similar to a forest fire's devastation for the sake of regeneration. The veil lifts and we see who and what has been hiding From the nakedness of the truth, a child is born. Have faith in the process. Hold on to your center. That is the only way. All kinds of things will be revealed during a time of apocalypsis. From big global lies to little white ones little white ones that lace the bedroom sheets. Brace yourself for the horse of truth to storm your every field. This card has a strong relationship to Alethea, or Althea. I feel like I keep pronouncing that wrong. Here, I'll show you the word. Has a strong relationship to Alethea. If both cards appear in one reading, you've got some real uncovering to do. Take heed. So, the real sort of energy I feel for this is kind of like a period of darkness that has left you feeling like that sort of new story is coming in. This new truth is coming in for you because of maybe a lot of unearthing sort of things that are happening. And this is 2025 that we're in, and if you know anything about sort of the quote-unquote sort of political climate going on, there could be a lot to talk about when it comes to that and how that affects not only you, but like maybe your family, friends who have different beliefs in you, and you're very much a believer of the truth, and you're kind of seeing a huge truth to how something operates, how something functions, how people got to the beliefs that they got to today, like from where they were before and how they reached to it today. So actually, I feel like I should put this over here. The lighting's a little strange, I know, so bear with me. Actually, I have an idea. We'll keep this at the center. I have an idea. Okay. Oh. Also, if you hear any of the coughing in the back, one of my roommates is sick with something that isn't contagious, but I just wanted to let y'all know in case you do hear coughing in the background. My microphone tends to pick up a lot of background stuff, so apologies, but I do appreciate your patience and all of that stuff. So, also, thank you all for letting me read your texts. What do we have for this group here? What do we have for this pile? Clear, honest message, please. What do they need to know, need to hear for their highest good? Oh, hello, I saw that. Temperance. Temperance being the first card out is very interesting. So usually when we have uncovered a truth of something that isn't truly like a feel-good sort of truth, you're just kind of like, oh, yeah, that's the stuff that lies in the dark or lies in the shadows. That's what somebody's been hiding or people have been hiding internally. This is something that, two things. It comes with knowing this stuff comes with the balancing out of our own energy. So I feel like regardless of what's happening in the outside world, what's going on for you, like internally, pile one, is the fact that you guys are really uncovering a lot of truth within you. This is something I feel like that feels like immensely brand new to you, but you wouldn't have been able to uncover the truth internally about like maybe your past or something if you didn't do the work in balancing things out, like truly energetically balancing things out. 9 of Cups reversed. I feel like this has to do with you had a particular sort of goal in mind, and I'm not sure if this is like well, you feel like you can't get it yet, or you have to rethink your entire sort of way of life, way of being. Like, I feel like something about what you've learned has kind of shaken you to the core, but it's because you were trying to gain balance and gain truth in your life, whether internally or externally. And I feel like it's changing up how you see your future and how you see your future self. And I feel like part of it is something that you're not necessarily like used to. Hi, ma'am. No, ma'am. No, ma'am. because you're going to want to try and climb up on the cards. I have a loaf wanting to join. I have to deny her, though. I'm so sorry, ma'am. Let's get the full picture out here really quick before we continue. Hello. Okay. I think this is an energy of maybe not necessarily you feel like you haven't been able to rest, but I feel like when it comes with the death in reverse, because we have Temperance, Nine of Cups in reversed, Death in reverse, and essentially Apocalypsis is another form of a death card, but what's also happening is the rebirth. I feel like maybe you have experienced the death of a lie, the death of a deception, and this sort of thing that has come out and revealed itself could be very hard to take, regardless of if it like actually personally affects you or not, because it could be just something you find out that of like a like let's say just hypothetically it's like somebody you cut off and they're not necessarily hurting you personally, but you find out that they've been doing something to somebody else that you're kind of close to, and it's not affecting like you exactly, but it could be affecting things that are happening in your life or other people in your life. And it's something to where like maybe you wanted to be very positive, patient, and have this energy of very much in the light. But at the same time, when darkness sort of hits us and this unveiling of something kind of hits us, it's not necessarily a new light that follows. It's almost like stepping into this very unknown path that if you feel like you can't fully move forward with the same goals that you had in mind, with the same energy, a big reminder that I feel like you've learned is that not only have you had patience with yourself, but I feel like you've had enough patience to realize that nothing ever really entirely stays the same. And if you feel like that you are becoming a completely different person than who you are and you don't want to lose the old self, you don't have to lose all of these previous like accomplishments or things that have fulfilled you in life. You don't have to like lose that part of yourself to gain something new entirely, because like the reference of the forest fire, that is the destruction that is purposeful for regeneration. The old forest is still there. The nutrients are just in the ground now. All of the ash and charcoal is just now in the soil. It has become something new, but it's not forgetting. And the people who are growing more trees or growing a garden off of that soil aren't just forgetting what is in the soil. They remember what is in the soil. They remember the destruction that happened, because that's what makes the soil so fruitful in a way. And so when we can really truly understand that, I feel like this is where it changes to something else entirely, to where we're not forgetting the old self. We're not just dropping things off. And I feel like this is where you've possibly been getting those signs, and it's really confusing for you because you're not really sure how to understand yourself when you come out of this sort of regenerative stage and phase, per se. There's a lot of ideas of how to regain balance with yourself, but at the same time, I feel like the big thing that you're forgetting is the fact that you never truly lose the old self. You just evolve into something new. And this is where we have the Eight of Wands reversed, the Six of Pentacles reversed, or is that Seven of Pentacles? Wait, no, I can't read. That's Eight Pentacles. What am I saying? I almost thought that was Six Pentacles. Now that makes more sense. Sorry. I'm like seeing the first like three, like the first six here, and I was like, wait, no, there's seven, and then he's holding one, so there's eight. And then so we have actually we have 884 here, which is very interesting. Eight of Wands, Eight of Pentacles reversed, and Four of Swords reversed. So whatever you have been working on, don't give up. I feel like you need to maybe stick to one plan of something. Just go with that and do it until it's complete. You don't need to work on every single idea all at once. And if you are sort of struggling to work something within your day to day, just do it day by day. You don't need an exact routine or exact schedule you have to follow, because you can make a routine, make a schedule, but you don't necessarily have to follow it exactly to a T every single day. Like, let's say, for example, you want to start working out, but you know that you get a lot of exercise at the job that you currently have. You don't need to continue doing like an intense workout once you get home. You can moderate what you do, in the sense of, okay, if you were lifting a lot of boxes for work, maybe you need time to just work out your legs instead of your arms, or maybe do some mobility stuff so you can actually move a bit easier when you're lifting things. And maybe you need to just stretch a little bit more. You don't have to constantly like lift weights, do push-ups, do more arm workouts when you've already gotten the arm workout, if that makes sense. This is where planning and structuring your day, I feel like, is kind of confusing you of like what you need to work on specifically. But at the same time, like, you have been getting signs and know internally what you need to work on. And I feel like this part of like, well, what if I'm not what if I'm not able to do this one fun thing anymore? What if I'm not able to pursue this one task that I really like? I feel like with enough discipline for yourself, you will be able to get to those things. But anytime that we have a lot going on in our lives, we kind of need to give ourselves time. There's a lot that has happened here in letting a lot of shit go and having the truth revealed to you. And I feel like the biggest thing you're not letting yourself do is rest, which is what the Four of Swords is legitimately doing in this card. They are essentially just like laying there resting. But the big part about the fourth sword that is there is sometimes we forget that there's another way to think about something. There's another mentality or mindset that we're kind of missing, or a part of our mindset that we're kind of missing. You can still do things that you want to do, whether it's like continuing to work on something that you're passionate about, and maybe even like trying to find time to have fun within all of the work that you're doing, and maybe even just getting proper rest. You have to limit your time with things, because I feel like you're trying to work things super fast. Like, you're trying to fit a 5 to 6 hour project within 2 hours. And personally that's just not possible, but I feel like you've been trying to push yourself in that direction anyway. And this is where you can still take all of the old parts of you and incorporate them into this new version of your mindset and mentality, without having to completely lose yourself or completely lose your way of life and how you like to live your life. And I feel like this is something that is, whatever you are sacrificing is a legitimate destruction of a forest fire that is going to regenerate your soul. So if you have to sacrifice time, just know that in time, in the long run, you will be able to get things done. And I actually wasn't going to show this, but I feel like it's relevant now, relevant. Did I say that right the first time? Regardless, I saw this on the bottom of the deck. This is the Emperor card, and I won't really leave this out, but I feel like it's very important to note how whatever you are doing currently is essentially like for the long run. And I think you need to like remember that the little time that you're sacrificing here and there, if you're just doing, okay, I want to do 2 hours of work here, an hour of work here, 30 minutes of this, okay, let's maybe take like an hour nap or a 2 hour nap, whatever it may be. Like, you can sort of, I keep getting this feeling of like you can fit something into your schedule if you just let yourself believe that, hey, sacrificing a little bit of time will help actually get things done. Because I know how hard it can be to constantly feel like that you're not able to work on something or work on something as passionately. But a big part about what we choose to do is not just only building a foundation for how we could pursue this in the future, how you could still pursue the life you want to live, the goals and accomplishments you want to achieve. You can still pursue this in the future, But it also takes a little bit of discipline and planning. And when I mean discipline at this time, it's discipline in the fact that you can do it. You may just have to rework your time to work more in the long run, because you aren't really fully giving yourself enough rest here. The Emperor card really deals with a lot of in the long run sort of things. So if you feel like you're not exactly sure what has been like helping or hurting, I feel like trusting yourself when it comes to how does your body feel. If you feel like you need rest, give yourself some rest, but also right when you feel like you've had the rest, get started on something that you know needs to get done. And I feel like if you need to maybe do laundry, but you're like, oh, well, it's just in the basket and it's not fully folded, but it's separated in a basket. I feel like, doing things little by little of like, okay, you separated the clothes. Now you have to go do like other stuff that you either want to do or are working on or just need to do. You can save part of a task for later. I think that's what I've been trying to kind of explain and get out, but this is where like a lot of signs have been showing you to go in a lot of different directions, and I feel like you've been feeling very overwhelmed of like, hey, but I'm working on stuff here and I want to continue to work on stuff that I'm passionate about and I don't want to throw this out. And I feel like you've had to throw out the mentality that you had around something. You don't have to lose your goals and accomplishments entirely. You have to just reframe and rework how you pursue something, in how your mindset is when you pursue it. Because a lot of the times we feel like we have to work very quickly and very fast to keep up with everything nowadays. But at the same time, it's not necessarily working fast, it's working with little bits at a time. It's almost like, I don't know if you've seen people do those diamond paintings where it's like these little, like, it's like a whole like sticker thing that you stick these little sort of plastic diamonds to, and it kind of creates this cool little art piece that people kind of follow. And it's almost like a paint by number sort of thing, but with like little plastic, like diamond looking things. And people do little squares by little squares. They don't just sit there and do the whole thing all at once and then still try to fit everything else into their day. I want you to think of your life and your goals and your accomplishments like some sort of artwork or art piece, or maybe even something else that you can associate it to that resonates more for you. Think of it as something that is done little by little by little until it's finished. That's how you have to view this now, because I feel like you've uncovered a lot of truth to yourself, a lot of truth to maybe how you view things in life, how you have appreciated different sort of, I want to say, not necessarily like, I wanted to say groups of people, but maybe you have really understood yourself here. You've really found balance in understanding who you are as a person. And you feel like if you want to move in a certain direction and rediscover new goals, you have to throw out old ones, but you still want to keep old ones. That's not holding on to old things. That's just you wanting to complete a goal that you had set out for yourself. And sometimes our mentality around certain goals has to be rethought of and reworked, reimagined, I'm hearing. Let's get the rest of the message out here. If it wants to come out, it will come out again. Hello. 3 of Wands, 4 of Cups, Queen of Wands, the more you tend to overwork yourself, the more you're going to be losing passion. Because I feel like when you are working on something like super quickly, you're kind of just like waiting for something to happen, waiting for your ships to come in, waiting to be, I hate to use this word, but I feel like you're kind of like waiting to be saved. And I feel like that's not the point. That's not the purpose. The whole purpose is to take time and remind yourself of the choices that you make that save yourself. And not necessarily save yourself, but I feel like it's more of rediscovering your mindset about something. Rediscovering your mindset will maybe even rediscover your passion about something, because you're very strong in this work ethic. I feel like you have a huge, strong work ethic here. And the fact that the moon is out here with the Apocalypsis card, here we go, that card of commitment here. Six of Cups on the bottom of the deck. How you have viewed something in the past does not hold up to how you view it now. And I feel like this has to do with what you want to do with your life, how you are as a person with what you want to do with your life. Like what you want to work on and what you want to do truly reflects like who you are as a person. And that's why the Queen of Wands is out here. You are so enamored and passionate with it. The reason the Queen of Wands is in reverse here is the fact that you're not really feeling yourself anymore. You're not feeling this passion that you had about something in the past. And it's not like you lost this. This is always here. It is that forest fire destruction that is now just regrown into a new purpose of the soil. The ashes of the forest fire can't continue to be the same tree it was before, but it can provide the nutrients, and we're going to use nutrients as a metaphor here, the nutrients, the medicine that the good soil needs to pursue creating a new tree off of a new seed. And the fact when I mentioned that the moon being out here with the Apocalypsis card, the moon is all about the lies and deceit and deception and all of this confusion and illusionary sort of things that we have to move through in order to kind of see that light at the end of the tunnel, or make it out the other side where we truly feel like ourselves again. But at the same time, the moon isn't just a card that's like, oh, we have to go through this. This is something that we learn. So when we make choices towards what we want to continue to commit to with the Hierophant card here, we make the right decision next time in the future. And we know why we're making the right decision here in the future. So the last few cards we have out here, Three of Wands, Four of Cups reversed, Queen of Wands reversed, the Moon reversed, and the Hierophant with the Six of Cups. So when it comes to this moon card, I feel like this is where you understand you are seeing a lot of like very, I want to say like illusionary sort of things. Like things may not really fully make sense to be like, why do I feel this way? Why am I feeling that way? And I feel like this is to remind yourself of why you've been working so hard on something. It has to rebirth into something new, but it doesn't mean you can't not grow upon this new soil that you have sort of regenerated within yourself. And the Hierophant card's very, very heavy on commitment here, because when it comes to like institutions, education, like all of that stuff, we commit to different things. We commit to different beliefs. We commit to different mindsets and routines. So I feel like when it comes to this card specifically, remind yourself of like how you have viewed your commitments in the past and how you can sort of recommit to them in a brand new way. And I feel like that's a really big part of like what you needed to hear. And I feel like I could sort of move on to maybe even like a different oracle deck, but I feel like this is very much like what you needed to hear. This is truly everything that you needed to hear. And it's not like something has been lost. You just haven't rethought your way around something here. See, the reason that the ships are coming in for the Three of Wands card is because there is a metaphorical dock that the Three of Wands card is building for those ships to come in. You can't build a dock in a day by yourself. You can build a dock over time, and then eventually it will be done. But if you're not committing to doing something little by little every day, this is where you are just running through the forest of the moon card and kind of losing your track along the way. And the only thing that you feel like you can hold on to and find sort of safety and solace in is all of the different illusions that the moon card kind of talks about. When we say illusions, it really just talks about like old habits, toxic patterns, sort of like the easy way out kind of method, and a bunch of different sort of metaphors like that. When it comes to like old habits and old patterns, it could be like the things that you've healed from in the past, going back to, oh, well, if I just did it this way, it'd be a lot easier, right? And you know deep down that's not true. Deep down, you know all of this sort of rebirthing that's happening around a particular idea and mindset, even if it's just about life, you are rebirthing into something new, but you're not losing your old way that still makes you you, because it's the old habits and patterns that we've healed. We don't remove the old us. We can still be that spunky, silly, goofy person we were when we were a kid or a teenager or even a young adult. Like, we don't lose those things. We take them with us. Whether it be as stories, memories, or just little quirks about us, little things that make us us. And I want you, and I feel like you need you to commit to yourself in a brand new way. But the biggest thing is, if you feel tired, if you feel sluggish, and you feel like you don't have the energy to work on everything, then you don't. If you don't have enough time in your day, you don't have enough time in your day. And if you are creating your own personal deadlines, remove the deadlines. Because we have enough deadlines when it comes to our sort of day jobs in a way. So we don't really have to set a deadline for healing. There is no deadline for healing. There is no deadline for rebirthing and regenerating. It happens when it happens. It's almost like how people say, like that whole forest fire regenerating into the new soil. They say approximately it could take this amount of time, but it's not going to take like a specific, it's going to happen in 3 days. It could happen in 3 to 7 days or something like that. Like, there's an approximate time of when they can start planting new seeds for that soil. It's not an exact timeline, because that's just not how it works in nature. Things are very approximate. It's like how someone who is pregnant isn't going to, like, sometimes it happens where their due date, they are born on their due date, and then sometimes people are born a little before their due date or a little bit after their due date. It's just sort of around this time is when someone may, give birth. And I feel like you need to keep being conscious of like the little things that you want to get done, but little by little. This whole reading could be summed up into really breaking down a lot of like ideas, goals, or things that you want to do with your life into smaller goals. Because I feel like you're a big dreamer over here. But that's not going to happen overnight. It's not going to happen in a week, and it's for sure not going to happen in a month. Give yourself 3 months. Give yourself 3 months, because 3 to 6 months is usually when you can start seeing some progress in something when it comes to a grander scale of things. If it is something small, definitely maybe give yourself 3 weeks, 3 to 6 weeks kind of a thing. But give yourself time, and do not give yourself a deadline for certain things that you don't need a deadline for. And remind yourself of that. So I think that's all I have for you. I want you to leave this reading off with, don't lose your passion. You don't need to lose your old sense of self just to gain this new sense of self. You still bring that with you, and commit to bringing that with you in this new fertile soil that is your soul. So thank you for letting me read your cards, and that is all I have for you, Group 1. Okay, welcome, Group 2, Pile 2. You got the Mystic card. Now, I will be reading this card for you guys from the book, because I don't know if you heard me in the first pile, but I love the way that this book just words things. I feel like it is super beautiful in how they word things, and it kind of helps me, pick out specific words and parts of the sentence that I feel like resonate really for who this pile is meant for. So this is the mystic, the seeker, the light worker, the dreamer. The mystic is often misunderstood in our culture, depicted as a wandering or light-hearted daydreamer like Shiva. The true mystic plays a critical role in society, remaining fearless, dedicated to the path of transformation. In order to save the earth from darkness, Shiva swallows up the poison of the world and holds it in his throat, slowly transmuting the liquid into nectar. Interesting how the next one is nectar, so I feel like this could be a three-part message for somebody. This is the work of the mystic. They do not fear darkness, but rather sit in the presence of it, harnessing the potential and latent energy behind it, and embed it with light. They are patient and prudent change makers, seeking growth above all else. Unanswerable questions are the mystic's lifeblood. The mystic revels in the mystery, in the great riddle of life, dancing with the forces of light and dark upon its wings. So, like any light worker, the mystic must build a relationship with fire. This begins by awakening the inner flame within. It may seem that the mystic is inward facing, yet its light beams back to the world with the strength of 1,000 stars. So, when it comes to this card and why I feel like it's truly resonating for you, if you feel like you have a bigger purpose in your work, craft, whatever it may be, it doesn't even have to be anything spiritual. How you view the world and the advice that you give people not only helps them just for that moment in time, but it's knowledge and wisdom that they tend to take with them. And I feel like you may be discrediting the help that you do give. But one thing I know that is truly crucial for anyone who has this sort of purpose, you have to be able to have a way to healthily balance your energy out, healthily regain and rejuvenate your energy again, because this is a lot of work, regardless of it being spiritual work or not. You feel like you have something more that's not necessarily meant, like just more that's meant for you, but like more that you want to contribute to the world. And this could be seen in like community work and stuff like that. But you have to remember to really take care of yourself in order to be someone that takes care of the world around us. So let's get into your cards here, because I'm really wanting to see the full picture of what could be here for you. And a lot of us feel like we have a different purpose in like a lot of like doctors and nurses, even lawyers feel like that their calling is within their career. And that's something that's truly valid that I feel like you could be experiencing. It doesn't have to just be spiritual, even if you like just looking at spiritual things here and there. I want you to consider maybe even like when it comes to people who are entertainers for a living, like your purpose could be to make people live in the moment and enjoy the moment for a little bit longer. And if you want, you can leave them off with like a sort of wise message at the end of your performance, if that's something that you do. Oh, hold on, excuse me. I got my coffee here, and then the incense sometimes makes my throat a little dry. It's also that time of year. It is like mid-November, so let's get into your cards. What do you need to hear for your highest good? Pile 2. What's going on? 2 of Pentacles. Remember what I was saying? It's crucial that you balance your energy out. I feel like that's exactly what this reading is going to be talking about here. So, 2 of Pentacles, 4 of Wands. That is the only card. Okay. 2 of Pentacles, 4 of Wands. This is very, very crucial to not just you making sure that you stay like sane, stable, balanced, and like in alignment into your personal purposeful path here. But it's something that I feel like you're gaining knowledge and gaining balance around the idea of what keeps you stable. Because sometimes while the 4 of Wands can talk about happiness, I truly see it as like a card of stability. Because when we are truly stable, we are happy with the balance that we've created, the balance that we maintain. It's not something that is just created and it's just there like forever. Happiness is something that we maintain. But at the same time, this is just the four corners, the four support beams of the house that you are building, the structure that you are building. So it's not fully complete yet. And I think that's the big thing of why you're probably looking into this reading specifically, because I feel like this is something that for you, you truly want to explore. I was going to say with more heart. We have the Page of Cups, or the Princess of Cups here, coming out reversed. And I feel like this is where you want to move on to maybe a more advanced level of doing something. And for my spiritual folk out here, if you want to move forward into more advanced practices, the biggest thing I'm going to say is obviously just do your research and kind of do what truly makes sense to you and the type of practice that you follow. Your practice doesn't have to look like everyone else's, but as long as you are very strong in your intention that you want to create your own sort of practice here, I believe you've already been starting to lay out the groundwork for that. And I feel like part of it is if you aren't being fulfilled by the help that you are giving, because you, I feel like, are a person that really enjoys helping people, like doctors, nurses, while they go through a lot during their day, they really truly enjoy helping people. At the end of the day, they know that what they do is purposeful and helps people. And I feel like this is more of reminding yourself, when you feel empty, when you feel unfulfilled, go back in and help yourself, because you are essentially someone that probably constantly needs the reminder of you need to help yourself before you can help others. But also when it comes to feeling unfulfilled, you could even not even feel drained, but feel the feeling of a half glass empty rather than a half glass full. And this is where it's basically a lot of reminding yourself of like how far you've come in something. You wouldn't have been able to get to this point now if you didn't pursue this path as long as you have up until now. I feel like regaining the balance of how you personally have developed something in your practice or in knowledge, even how you have personally developed like internally throughout these sort of things, I feel like is a very key thing to remind yourself of. Like, you have truly grown a lot, and I think you need to give yourself credit, because half the time you're not giving yourself time to regain your energy that I feel like you know you can regain. Because when you are completely lacking of energy, you're not happy. And like I mentioned, happiness is something that we maintain. And here we have 10 of Cups reversed, the Emperor, and 6 of Wands. So 2 of Pentacles, 4 of Wands, Page of Cups reversed, with the 10 of Cups reversed, the Emperor, and the 6 of Wands. I feel like this is throwing out the idea of like everything has to be happy-go-lucky, sunshine and rainbows, even though there's a rainbow in this cup. It's kind of that metaphor of like happiness isn't just something that feels good. Happiness could be within something that feels strong, stable, and has a true solid foundation upon it. Because the Emperor not only is the embodiment of a strong foundation within the tarot, for you in this aspect, I feel like you are finding stability that feels very like, this is good, this is okay, this is stable. It's not like really, really good, and it's not really, really bad. It is just middle of the ground stable, and that's a really great like place to like do a lot of groundwork on of how you want to pursue your path. And I feel like this is where maybe you have been doing a lot of sort of groundwork with yourself and with your just ability to pursue something. I'm not sure exactly what that is, but a big part of this is you recognize something within yourself, whether it's like you're meant for something more, you feel like you have a purpose in life. I want you to look at the little things that you do as well, because I feel like something doesn't have to be on a huge, grand, big scale. It could be for some of you, but I feel like something could just be like in your small corner of the earth, your small corner of like your local community kind of a thing, and you just help out in your local community, and that's purposeful. That is still having a purpose. And if you feel like it is a bit on the grander scale, well, I want you to kind of maybe even rethink like how you do something. It doesn't have to bring you an exact form of true happiness and stability, because a lot of us tarot readers feel like our calling is to help people through tarot. But I'm gonna be honest, a lot of the work isn't always happy. Like the readings that I have given to people have been very heavy things that we talk about, and it's mostly you having to be very open and open to being vulnerable. And if I don't have the energy to like read cards for the day because I know that it gets into those heavy things, then I don't have the energy. I go and I regain the energy. And this is something that like, even if it's like something of a doctor or a nurse, like if they are truly drained and they do not have the energy, they're not going to perform their best if they don't give themselves just either like 5 to 10 minutes of their day to just like cool down, calm down, and regain their sense of strength again. Or if they don't get a good night's rest, then they're not going to perform the greatest the next day. And it kind of shows, not even just with being a doctor or a nurse or a lawyer or something like super grand like that. It shows in just our day-to-day work and our day-to-day ethics. So I feel like a lot of discipline needs to be put around how you practice something, and not just discipline in a way of like, hey, like we got to be serious about this, but no, just remind yourself that this stability is something we maintain. It's not just stable and we're good and it's going to be stable forever. I feel like you're recognizing the long-term effect of certain things. You're recognizing that, okay, we have to start planning for the long run. Because in the Fool's Journey, the Emperor teaches the Fool in the Fool's Journey that the food that they were able to harvest from the Empress card in the Empress's garden, when the Fool gets to the Emperor is like, is all of that food going to last your whole entire journey? Is all of that food going to last your whole entire journey? And the Emperor teaches this basically not only just rationing out your supplies, but also making sure that you are creating a plan that is going to be a solid plan for the long run. And also creating some wiggle room here and there, just having a plan that, hey, you know, if things get a little unstable, we have this to fall back on. If things are doing really good, then we can sort of like save some stuff, you know? And I feel like this is a huge thing you're recognizing within yourself, but it's been hard to place of like, hey, what am I missing? And I feel like the big thing that you're missing is that if you feel like you have a purpose, if you feel like you have a purposeful path in this life, in this existence, you need to maintain the balance of having that purpose. This also is with people who get into psychiatry or therapy and they want to be the therapist or the psychiatrist. There is a lot of things that you have to do to maintain your mental health personally too, because when it comes to therapy and psychiatry, that's a lot of heavy topics that you get into. It's you being able to take on this load that is so important, because if you don't have the energy for it, like I keep saying, you have to find the ways that actually regain your strength again. And I feel like something that is maybe an old way that you would create balance, maybe not fully be working, but it's not like you have to throw that out. I feel like you have to have a new mindset about how something fulfills you in a certain way. Like, you can't just expect that the old way to work instantly. It's like, oh yeah, this worked, but maybe it's like taking a hot shower work, but you just take the hot shower and you don't really feel better. If you are someone that's getting into a lot of spiritual things, be very intentional with taking a hot shower. When you go and do those things, you have the strong intention that that hot water is truly cleansing you, and let yourself kind of sit in that headspace for a moment and see how different that you feel. Or even for me, when it comes to like super hot showers, I will play a lot of frequency music to add on to that sort of cleansing energy, and I feel like that's something that you could do as well if that's something that you feel like benefits you. But don't just sit there and throw out like, oh, this isn't working because it's not fulfilling me. I feel like you have to rethink it in the sort of long term and the more serious sort of role that you are playing in your life. Like, this emperor isn't just like a young prince anymore or a young princess. Like, they aren't just. It's like reminding yourself that, hey, we're not young anymore. We got to be really serious about this. But it's not like we have to completely lose ourselves and our joy and our happiness to have this sense of seriousness. We have to still recognize ourselves here in a way that's going to regaining this balance and the sense of fulfillment and strength is going to actually still remind us of ourselves, and we still recognize ourselves at the end of the day. As part of you don't want to lose yourself in what you're doing entirely. So let's get the last few cards out here on the board. What is group 2? What else do they need to hear for their highest good? What's going on? Oh, hello. We have 9 of Wands reversed. The Sun card. Interesting. Okay. Nine of Wands is a lot about not just reconciliation, but I always hear that word and I'm like hearing reconsideration of ideas and old methods of doing something and combining all of it into one idea. And when you really think about all of the things that work for you and you kind of could combine all of them into sort of one task, one method, one sort of way of doing something, this is where you find the healing. Not only do you awaken to something brand new to make you feel like yourself again, and you are sort of a little bit more enlightened of like, oh my god, I can't believe I didn't think of this before. This is when you can truly start healing these parts of yourself that not only help guide you to continue the purpose that you feel like you have in this life, but it guides you in a way that is very much the idea of, hey, what you do requires constant discipline and strength, but it doesn't mean that you have to like completely like let things go. Here, I gotta light some more incense here. I can see my one stick is kind of burning, almost done burning. And I feel like a lot of like what you pursue and how you help people in life is very reflected on, like, the energy that you give out is very reflected on, hey, did you have the energy for this today? Did you have the strength to help people today? Did you have the strength to continue to pursue what you truly enjoy today? Because I feel like that really, really determines how and where your strength really truly lies. And this is something that I feel like you may have tried to explore before and you just like weren't sure where to go with your own personal energy. Like, I feel like you were sitting here looking for this reading, and I'm glad that this found you because something felt like it was missing. Something felt off balance, and you wanted to regain your sense of emotional stability and emotional strength back again, because when we feel very drained by the work and the purposeful work that we're doing, we don't give ourselves time to even like heal here. We don't give ourselves time to rejuvenate and continue to move forward with what makes us truly happy, and not just happy, stable. 10 of Pentacles upright out here on the board directly underneath the 10 of Cups. It's not something that just brings us happiness. It brings us safety, stability, structure, and solace. And it allows us to enter the space. You need to give yourself a sacred space, and if that sacred space is just your own human body here, that is a good place to start. That is a great place to start, and that's probably where you should start first before creating a sacred space for your current place of living. And I gotta be honest, like, it's something that like we can have our house be clean and it feels nice and everything feels safe and it feels homey, but things get messy, life gets messy. And we have to remind ourselves of how can we continue to kind of pick up these little things here and there to where we are still committing to our one main purpose. The little things that we do and commit to along the way really help us regain that sense of knowledge of, like, the little things of the emperor teaching the fool, hey, we're doing this little thing of rationing out your food, but this is for something that's for the long run. It's almost like in I've worked a lot of food industry jobs, and I learned a lot of, like, sort of life lessons when it comes to my prep cook experience. And as a prep cook, the best way to make sure that you don't make, like, too much of a mess to clean up later is you clean up as you go. Cleaning up as you go in just life and doing things as you go, like cleaning things up as you go, helps you maintain your space so much better than uh than like I once really, like, I'm forgetting the words, but when I learned the whole cleanup as you go, it helped me so much in my prep cook job that I was like, oh my god, I'm not having to clean up after, like, all of these insane things that I have to clean up after, like, after every shift. I am just cleaning up the one thing that I worked on, like, here and there, and being able to do a little bit every so often really just, like, keeps you sane at that point, to the point where, like, if you, let's say you come down with some cold or some allergies and you're not able to work on things or clean things up, don't beat yourself up over things that you can't control. Do not beat yourself up over things that you can't control, because that's something that, in time, you're taking your time to rest, you're taking your time to heal yourself, and then you can start the cleanup process again. And it doesn't need to happen all in one day. And I feel like if you are someone that has a good group of, like, friends, family, if you're in a relationship, if you have good people around you, it's okay to just ask them for some help and say, hey, I'm feeling a little drained, feeling a little weak. Could you help me with this one small thing? And then I could also do this for you as well if you want to compromise. But I feel like some of these good people may help you in maintaining this energy for yourself. Because when it comes to me and how I treat, like, showers and stuff, I've told my boyfriend this, and I've told him, like, yeah, like, even if you don't really believe in it, like, sometimes you could just sit there and just think that the hot water is just burning away, because we take some very hot showers, mind you, that it's sort of melting away all of the gunk of the day, all of the gunk, crap, shit, whatever it is. It's all going down the drain. Queen of Pentacles reversed with the Nine of Swords on the bottom of the deck. If you feel like this purpose that you have is something of, not necessarily a burden, but if you are feeling like it is partially a burden, I feel like you're not allowing yourself to rejuvenate properly. And this is where it comes to these old ways of doing something that you can kind of combine into one. Because I used to just treat it as, like, cleansing myself was just doing a shower or doing, like, a smoke cleanse per se. I treat everything that I clean as a cleanse. If I'm cleaning the bedroom of clothes on the floor, I'm cleansing the energy in there. If I'm cleaning things up on my desk and I'm just kind of, like, wiping things down, cleaning things, that is a form of a cleanse. Being able to clean your space of things and clean just your life is a cleanse in general. And I feel like for you, if you feel like you're very much like, I don't know what to do about this, I know I have a purpose, I don't know where to go about it, you have to sort of recognize, when it comes to spiritual things, like, you're not just going to make a bunch of money off of spiritually helping people. And this is something we do for, you could say, the love of the game. We do it for our purpose of wanting to help people, and we make room in kind of commit to making choices that are going to help us out in the long run, continue our path. And I feel like when it comes to the Queen of Pentacles being reversed, I feel like this is having a whole new mindset, that you are almost ready to sort of plant this seed of a new mindset and grow within you. But at the same time, you kind of have to remind yourself that, like, you are the one that has worked up to creating this seed of an idea or a mentality. And I feel like I understand that it could be very overwhelming of like, what do I do about this? But when it comes to a lot of spiritual things and spiritual topics, these are things that just happen on a divine timing, on a mystic timing sort of scale. It's very uncertain when we're able to help certain people, but when the intention is that when we know that we're helping people, we know we're helping them at the right time, at the utmost right time. We can't just help everyone and every single person in a day. And I feel like I don't need to really remind you of that, but at the same time, a lot of this is speaking to how you rejuvenate yourself in your purpose, how you find stability in continuing to move through your life with this purpose that you have found and have a calling towards, and really regaining strength on that you aren't losing any of your old methods of doing something. Like a big thing for me was like when I first got into a lot of my spiritual practices, I was like, oh, I truly feel called to something here, especially with tarot. Like I felt insanely called to tarot. And it is a big thing that people get very called to, but I know a lot of my spiritual friends are called to a lot of different types of work, and that is I know two people who are into a lot of death work, and death workers essentially help people kind of cross over in a sense. Not only do they help them sort of cross over, they help them find closure in the afterlife, or they help them sort of in the afterlife. And there's different ways that they work with these spirits, but these spirits essentially like will be lost and just randomly find them in a way. And it's some like it's work that they're very much called to do. And I feel like this is where they have a lot of different things going on in their life that they have to maintain. They still have a 9 to 5 job, but they do this work because they know it helps these energies, these spirits, these people. And also, they do a lot of making sure their own energy is in check, that they have had their rest, they've drank their water, they've had food for the day. And if you need caffeine, they've had their quote unquote caffeine for the day. And I feel like being able to rethink how you are working this, oh, that's what I was mentioning. When I first got into my spiritual practices, I was like, am I going to still be able to do all of the fun things that I want to do, or am I going to have to sacrifice that? No, I didn't. A lot of the fun things I want to do is still play video games and dance. Dance is a big part of my passion, but I didn't realize how spiritual dance could actually be, and that's something that I also incorporate into my practice as well. And I do it in various ways when it comes to that. So you don't need to like lose your entire self. It's more of thinking in the long run of like, okay, if this is something you want to do, essentially continue to add this part of life to your plate of life, to add something to your plate. You're gonna have to rework some things, but it doesn't mean you have to lose everything that has made you at the end of the day. And I feel like this is definitely tied to the message before, but this is more of like, you have a purpose and you need to really be conscious of like, hey, you have a way that you want to pursue something here. Okay, now's the time to really recognize how can you feel like the not just the sun, but like how can you feel like this bright energy again, this healing warmth energy again, because when you're feeling like the 9 of Swords, there's some work you got to do internally, and not like, oh hey, you haven't done all the internal work. No, this is work that is just a conscious effort, that is a continuous effort and a constant balance that we have in our life. See, we have 2 Pentacles, 4 of Wands, this constant balance. that we maintain, to maintain this stability, to maintain this structure that not only provides us success in our endeavors, but provides us with a sense of, okay, I'm happy because I helped somebody, and I'm happy because I'm not overwhelmed by all of it. I feel like that's the big message there. I feel like I could be repeating it in a lot of ways, but I feel like if you truly want to have success, which I see you having, it's a reminder to go back in and heal these things and work through different parts of you that feel a little out of whack, out of balance. It's how we mystics, shamans, spiritual folk, tarot readers, it's how we all keep doing what we do. We wouldn't be able to do what we do if we didn't like consciously think of our own energy here. So I want you to really be conscious about your own energy and have a new sort of way to look at it and a new idea to sort of plant down, because if you're not actively going to do that, then you're going to be stuck feeling overwhelmed the whole time. And that's not me saying that, that's the cards saying that, because the Queen of Pentacles isn't going to move without your actions. The Queen of Pentacles isn't going to plant this new seed of opportunity on their own, because you are the Queen of Pentacles holding that seed of opportunity. It's either plant it or move forward in feeling overwhelmed. I can't control your actions. We all have free will here, so that's all I have for you. Thank you for letting me read your cards, and I hope to see you guys in the next one. All right, pile 3, you got the Nectar card. And I feel like if you have sort of been missing the sweetness of life in a way, or maybe even trying to re-find it and regain a sense of the sweetness in your life, I feel like that this could be the reading for you. But also, I'm going to read what the book says about this card, because I feel like it is very cool how the author words these things. You're going to hear me say this all the time, but I love being able to kind of use what the author has said very like poetically and very beautifully, in my opinion, and intelligently. I like sort of kind of, you know, picking out these certain parts of the sentences and words that really heavily resonate for what I feel like you guys are needing to hear. So here we have the nectar, the medicine, the elixir, the garden. In Hindu mythology, there is a miraculous substance known as amrit, or nectar, that contains infinite healing power. This golden nectar, or sacred elixir, is the drink of immortality, and like its sister substance, soma, it is known to activate subtle intelligent forces that ease the mind, body, and spirit. Though esoteric, these images lead us to the central energy of this archetype, the sweet, potent, heavenly essence that lubricates our spirit back to life. The Nectar card calls us to identify and relish in places, practices, people, and activities that regenerate and heal. Medicine is needed, and it comes in subtle form that you may be overlooking. Seek the most sensuous, fragrant flower in the garden you have forgotten. Don't underestimate this remedy. It is said when someone has activated the substance within, it is reflected in their shimmering eyes. Here we go. The Nectar, the Mystic, and the Athelia cards, which I mentioned. We got the Mystic card in the last one. Like I said, I think this could be a 3-part message for somebody here. Come on, focus again. Come on, hold on. We got the Mystic card earlier, and then in the first deck, it mentioned in that card about this card, the Alethea or Athelia cards, or I think it's Alethea. I keep pronouncing it wrong. But the Nectar, the Mystic, and the Alethea cards are linked. It is the mystic who, like Krishna, turns poison into nectar, and it is truth that can often serve as the potent elixir for healing. Sense the nectar within you, dripping from the crown of the head and soothing the brain. Let it drip down the spine like sweet honey. You have definitely been searching long for this sweetness in life, and I feel like a lot of this reading is going to reflect how certain past things have really rejuvenated your soul. But how do we do that? I feel like is the big question. Not only do you know that it's what you kind of feel called to do, how does one go about that? And I feel like, what else does this person need to hear for this pile? What do they need to hear, need to know for their highest good? For the Nectar card. Three of Pentacles. Reminding yourself that this energy that we're talking about is an energy that works with me, myself, and I. Sometimes the Three of Pentacles can kind of talk about that, but it's more of how we work with the me, myself, and I. How we work with our mind, body, and soul. How we work with our mind, body, and heart, you could say. And I feel like some things feel really out of balance, but I feel like it's because you've been only focusing on one part. You've been focusing on your heart and your mind, maybe, and forgetting your body, or maybe you've been focusing just on your heart and forgetting your mind and your body, or focusing on your body and forgetting your mind and your heart. Like, there's a specific thing that has one initial focus on it, but all of this needs to have focus on it in order to maintain its balance, to maintain its healing and rejuvenating sort of energy here. Energy and even essence, I want to say. Because something about what you do, I feel like you are very intentional about, but it's only to one part. And I feel like this is where we have to, if you are only thinking about your heart, you have to be logical and use your mind to remind yourself, okay, well, what does our body need? King of Swords. I feel like that you're being very stubborn of certain plans that need to be put in place. But it's also reminding yourself of, like, okay, you're thinking of your heart and you feel like your heart is achy and it's tired and it needs rest. You can get rest, but not too much of it. And I feel like if you're stubborn of just like, no, I just need rest, you're forgetting what your body needs. You're forgetting that, you know, your mind's probably telling you, hey, our body needs to get up and move around. We need to get up and maybe exercise or work this energy out, or just maybe go on a walk. I feel like even diet could be a thing as well, because the nutrition that we gain from food can help our mind and our bodies. But I feel like you have a very strict plan of like, no, this is the healing method that works for me. I feel like you are initially being called to a different form of healing, because healing doesn't have to always look the same exact way. Healing comes in many forms of medicine. Three of Pentacles, King of Swords reversed, Six of Swords. I feel like you really are trying to move away from the stubbornness, but you're still very stubborn about how, like, hey, like, no, I need this plan to work before we can move on into this healing stage. And I feel like what you're maybe expecting is your heart to, like, let's say you're only focusing on your heart, and not really focusing, or mostly focusing on your mind instead of your heart. You're like, okay, well, we'll move forward with the healing and this healing energy of this Nectar card. We'll move forward into looking into those things once we stop feeling this way in our mind or in our heart. And the universe is asking you to kind of consider your mind and your heart in your body before you move towards, like, this nectar thing, or move, or what's the words? I think I worded that wrong. It's the universe, I feel like, is calling you to, maybe even yourself is calling you towards this nectar before you figure out everything in your mind or in your heart. Because it's almost like how you choose to go about something changes how you heal, changes how you regain your sense of strength again and rejuvenate yourself and rejuvenate your soul. And maybe some of you are feeling a bit stubborn, or were feeling a bit stubborn, and maybe you're putting some of this stubbornness down, but you don't really have a plan. And I feel like part of it is going day by day and just reminding yourself of like, okay, what does my heart need? What does my mind need? What does my body need? And reminding yourself of these small little things, I feel like allows you to move forward a bit. But you can't, I want to say, not necessarily just be stubborn, but you can't beat yourself up over certain things. I feel like you, that's funny. I feel like you feel like, I'm getting the sense that you feel a little uncertain about how to move forward to this rejuvenating sort of energy. And I feel like this is a lot of being uncertain about how you really, I want to say, review yourself in the like in the long run, like, oh well, will I still be the same person? Will I still feel this energy, or am I just being delusional, kind of a thing? Will this energy, me like thinking of my mind, body, and soul, will that actually help me instead of hurt me? Like, I feel like there's so much energy of like uncertainty of like, okay, well, we're moving forward, but what does this even get us? What does this help us with? And I feel like some of you are being stubborn on the fact that you may look at life like it's a half glass empty. And it's not necessarily just stubbornness and being in denial, but I feel like there are a lot of little reminders of, oh, why should we even try? What's the point? And I feel like the big part is, the point is, if you didn't try or have any effort at all, then the whole world won't have any effort. And everything can just stay in its stubborn, aggressive, blunt, no emotion sort of mindset. And you are being so called to move out of that, but it's leaving you very uncertain because I don't think you know how to move forward without this sense of stubbornness. And I think the big thing is being able to rethink this stubbornness in you, because some of us are just stubborn people. Like, it's just kind of within us. I'm pretty stubborn in different ways, but sometimes when I think of my stubbornness, I use it not just as a weakness, I use it as a strength. I don't see it really as a weakness. I see it as, if I can put my stubbornness into things that I really want to accomplish, into things I really want to move forward with, I could get a lot done, and I have. And I don't do that without proper, obviously, rest and rejuvenation. The Hangman card. I think what's uncertain is you're very uncertain of how you're going to come out the end of this, because the Hangman card sacrifices an old perspective to gain a new one. And I feel like that sense of sacrifice is almost like the sky is falling for you, but not really in that sort of way. It's almost just like very uncertain of like, well, who am I becoming? That's the fun part. You get to kind of discover that on your own. You don't get to just like essentially know who you're going to become in the future. This is something that we discover within ourselves, and it takes a lot of time, rest, and patience to be able to understand, hey, these are the parts of me that I like, that I want to take with me. I think that's the big thing that you're really uncertain about, is like, what do you want to take with you? And I feel like part of you really needs to explore this newer perspective and sort of rest upon it. Don't move forward with it and like get the ground running right away. I feel like you have to sit with it for a little bit and kind of see where both the intuitive part of you and the ego part of you kind of want to walk hand in hand together forward in this direction of this new perspective of, hey, maybe this way that you do something could be a healing thing, could give you that sort of life back in your eyes and life back in your heart. And I feel like you discredit some of the things that actually kind of give you life again. I'm going to use this card instead of the other ones. We have 3 of Wands here, because that kind of exploded, but I usually take the outlier card that comes out. I'm feeling like this one wants to come out. We'll leave that. So we have the Hangman, the Chariot reversed, Three of Wands. I feel like if you have this energy that you're like, okay, I should just run with this idea, there's a big call to, like, and I feel like you feel this intuitively, of just don't. Like, you don't need to run with a certain thing and say, like, hey, this works, so I'm just going to run with it. You got to say, hey, this works, and I'm willing to sacrifice sort of this old way of thinking about something that is feeling outdated to you and to your mind and to your heart and even partially to your body. And you got to be willing to build something new. The Three of Wands doesn't just have the ships come in because they come up to the shore. The Three of Wands builds the dock that the ships dock up to, and that's the way that these ships come in for us. These things that we want to bring into our life come in for us. We have to build that new perspective. We have to build the docks of, I want to say, knowledge in order to bring in this new knowledge and perspective in our lives. And you can't do that by just building the dock in a day. This takes time, this takes patience. And if you feel like nothing's moving forward in your life right now, it's kind of the point. There kind of needs to be a sort of rest and reconciliation with the self, because I feel like a whole new idea is being tried, or the universe is trying to show you sort of a whole new idea of something. And there's this energy of like, well, you keep going back to these 3 cups that like don't really work out for you, but you know that there's something more. It keeps catching your attention, catching your eye even. And I feel like you want to believe in it, but you're like, well, I don't know how. I don't know if I'm going to be the same person on the other end. And that's the part that I feel like I'm hearing the words you lack discipline in, because it's not that we lose old parts of ourselves. I feel like I've been talking about this in every reading, just in a different way, in a different format. We don't lose parts of ourselves in these new perspectives. We regain a new sense of self. We can still take things with us. That's the whole point of the 6 of Swords and the swords that are in the boat. We are taking knowledge, ideas, and blueprints of ourselves and like mindsets and mentalities within us in the 6 of Swords boats into this new perspective that we want to gain. But I don't think you're giving yourself enough time to build upon this new perspective here. 4 of Cups, the Emperor, and the 3 of Cups all reversed here. I feel like you keep thinking in a short-term sort of way, because the King of Swords sometimes is a very like, no, I want things to happen now, and it just doesn't work that way. If you want to regain a sense of purpose in your life, you have to give yourself time. You have to think in the long run. That's the key here. You have to think about your past, present, future selves and how long it took you to gain this knowledge to this point, and how long it's probably going to take you to gain even more knowledge in the future. But your future self will continue to embrace you if you embrace the idea that things are just going to happen in the long run. And I want to say, I said this I think in the last reading, of like, don't just give yourself a week. Give yourself maybe, I feel like for you, give yourself a month. Give yourself 30 days. Then another 30 to 60 days. Then another 30 to 90 days. Give yourself like a month to 3 months. And then after 3 months, give yourself another 3 months. And see, even now you could look back of like, where were you 6 months ago? In your mindset, in your mentality, and how you functioned. Did you even consider this path that you're on right now? Did you even consider that you could find this sort of sweetness of life again? You feel like you can find it somewhere within you. And I feel like that's the big thing that you're trying to rediscover about yourself. King of Pentacles reversed, because I feel like you want to be a little less like greedy about something. You want to feel a little less needy of something. It's not necessarily you feel like you need sort of materialistic things, but it's also like part of you could try being could be trying to heal the part of you that feels like, if I just had this, this would be easier to heal, or this would be easier to maintain. If I just had this, this would be easier to build. If I had tools and a whole crew to build this dock for these ships to come in for me, for these opportunities to come in for me, that would be so much easier. But you don't. You have me, myself, and I. You have your past, present, and future self here with the Three of Cups. And you need to remind yourself of how the Three of Cups, when it comes to the past, present, future self, this is a constant flow of energy of the past goes into the present goes into the future, and the future then reflects on into the past, and so on. It goes into this infinite cycle of flow of the only reason you're able to get to where you are today is because past you worked on stuff. And the only way that you'll get to be the future you that you kind of have a slight idea of is if you work on things in the present. And the reason that the future is the way it is because of the things you've worked on in the past. And this constant flow, this constant cycle is something that is in the long run. This is something you also need to build a lot of structure around. This foundation is so important. The foundational aspects of what brings your spark back, what brings your life back into your eyes again, is a structure that is needing to be maintained. But a structure can't be strong without a good foundational aspect to it. And this is the part I feel like you're trying to release. Is the foundation isn't based off of other people and their help and other people's resources. The foundation is based on yourself. And if you don't learn to look at everything that you've created around you and actually give yourself the credit that you so deserve, I feel like you are forgetting how far you've actually come. How far you've actually maintained this newer perspectives that you've gained. You're not giving yourself a chance to even feel like you can be credited. And I think that's the big thing that truly has to heal in order to feel this elixir again. Yeah, Eight of Swords. Eight of Swords reversed and the Star reversed. You're forgetting that you've created this nectar. You've created this elixir. This isn't something that just fell upon you and was just something that fell into your lap. It would be a lot easier if it was that way, wasn't it? Then everyone would be doing it. But that's the point of why we do hard things, because not only do we gain a new sense of self by the end of it, we can learn to appreciate the work that we have created, the work that we've done on something. And I feel like the Eight of Swords here is reminding you that you are the one to break yourselves free from this mental sort of prison that I feel like you kind of have locked yourself up in. Because I feel like the old habits of past you that you've really tried to heal from are trying to creep their way back in, and you have to find yourself a new foundation for regaining a sense of joy in life. Because while the nectar talks a lot about this sort of potent energy that's very healing, I feel like it also talks a lot about joy. And this joy of life, of continuously finding joy in not only healing yourself here, but living your fucking life. Living your life to how you want to live it. You didn't gain this perspective because someone told you to. You gained this perspective because you truly worked on yourself and wanted to learn more and gain more knowledge about yourself. And now you're getting to the real nitty-gritty parts of you that you're like, damn, I didn't think that we would actually be healing this part of us. Maybe that's why part of you is stubborn. You probably have always said that you'd hold on to something for so long, and now you're learning to let go. And it feels completely uncertain for you, but you have to remind yourself, even if you're not sure what kind of ships are going to come in for you, making sure that that dock that you build for these ships to come in, making sure your foundation is strong and solid, and you double check it for cracks and stuff, you are going to be okay. You are going to be very, very, I want to say not just enlightened, but enlightened in your own sense of giving to yourself, enlightened in your own sense of, I actually worked for all of the things I have around me. Because the King of Pentacles isn't someone that just has a lot of things around them because they all got it handed to them. The King of Pentacles worked on getting all of the sort of materialistic things that are shown in the card usually. The King of Pentacles worked for that. And I feel like you're not giving yourself the credit that you truly deserve. And that's only for you to be able to break out of. You are the one that chooses the healing, chooses the commitment, chooses the freedom of your own self. And it starts with a very, very disciplined foundation of your life and how you want to pursue it. And a lot of the times, it comes with gentle reminders. Like a lot of the time in the past, I told myself, you know what, I didn't want to learn choreography because it would take too long. But then, like, I started getting into little K-pop dances kind of a thing. Because I didn't want to learn TikTok dances. I wanted to learn, like, K-pop dances because I thought they were fun because I could put on that song and kind of do the dance that is essentially associated with that song. And while part of me would like to learn the choreography for the whole entire song, I just gave myself the 60 seconds that would come up on, like, my TikTok or Instagram. And this metaphor may not exactly, like, work for you because it's really dance, but I feel like the message is still the same. Break it down into something small and give yourself credit for the fact that maybe 6 months ago, this is not anywhere you ever would have thought you'd be. Maybe even 6 years ago. Look back at a chunk of time to where you were recognizing that you moved yourself forward in this. You did the work, and I feel like you're not crediting yourself for doing the work, which is causing you in this to have this lack of foundation for these newer perspectives that you're gaining. And if you do a certain activity that you may not really think much of, that actually helps you, I think it's time to get back into it. I think it's time to remind yourself that you are allowed to get back into it. It is allowed to be the thing that gives you life. As long as we're being healthy, happy, safe, and whatever it is, you need to be honest about something that gives you life, gives you a sense of freedom, and your free will back again. Because I feel like you've been moving on an aspect of, like, you feel like you don't have free will because you have to do this, that, and the other for, like, adulting and stuff like that. But you do. You have the free will to break free from a lot of these sort of mental, not like just traps or this, like, mental prison, but these mental sort of constructs that you've kind of created out of fear of something. Fear of the unknown. Fear of, well, is this even going to work out? Is this thing even going to make me happy? And the only thing I have to say to that is you won't know until you try. You won't know until you try. So, that is all I have for you. And I want you to feel very grateful for the work that you put in. You put in the work. Feel a little bit of gratitude. You are allowed to feel grateful for yourself. It's the little bit of selfishness that we deserve to give ourselves. We're all selfish to a point. We all have to give ourselves what we need. If we're not selfish, then we're going to constantly be burning ourselves out, running on empty, not doing anything for ourselves. I feel like you've grown past that. So be proud of the work that you've done, and you're continuing to do, and give yourselves the fucking damn credit. Gosh, give yourselves the credit. Thank you for letting me read your cards. That is all I have for you. And as always, I hope to see y'all in the next one. Peace.